In this video, I'm going to be showcasing a new quad frame that I'm calling the Sky Party. It's a brushless micro quad, and boy does it live up to its name. Specs. Okay, I'm sure you're curious what is in this little beast. I've got Racer Star 1103 10,000 kV brushless motors. I've got a 12 amp all-in-one ESC that's running DShot 600. I have a Femto flight controller. Now that one was a little bit tricky with wiring because you had to reconfigure the output for motor 4 as the LED pin. Kind of weird. If you're doing this, you'll figure it out. And then of course the small all-in-one FPV camera transmitter. Other than that, it took my 3D printed frame that I printed out of ColorFab PLA PHA, and the blue pieces I printed out of NinjaFlex. Now they hold the speed controller down and also hold the flight controller to the board and provide a really good mount for the FPV camera. On the back side, you'll see that I opted for an XT30 connector. I tried the JST and a couple different connectors, and I was pulling about 29, 28 amps through the XT30, and whenever I put a JST connector, I was pulling only like 18 amps. Same battery, I soldered the connectors on and everything, so this one you definitely want to put an XT30. So when designing the frame, I was thinking about two different options for receivers. I wanted something small and that has a pretty good range. So the XM FR Sky receiver fits that bill. It's very small and gets good range. And then also this Furious FPV tiny receiver has full telemetry, which is pretty awesome. You can see I made a little cutout in the frame right there. And what we're gonna do is just push it in like that. And then the antenna wraps around and the active end goes into an internal channel that routes the antenna in there. So the antenna is actually protected. If you want to, you can trim the antenna so that the actual overall antenna length is not very long. If it was like about that long right there, you could then put it in and it would be nice and clean. If you don't want to use an XM and you want full telemetry on a build, you can also use the Furious FPV, and kind of the same deal. The active end of the antenna goes into an internal passage and is protected and held straight in the frame. And you can just bend it around this built-in standoff right there. And then when you put the all-in-one ESC down, it holds everything nice and tight. I've flown this a lot, and that means that I've crashed a lot. And through that, I've fine-tuned the frame to be as thin and light as possible while also holding up to some pretty ridiculous crashes. I put a lot of time into thinking about this frame and how to make it the best I possibly could. Now, some really cool features are I've got a way that holds the power leads in the tail, so those aren't just flipping around and going to get caught in the props. I've thought of a way to integrate the mount that holds the flight controller and the mount that holds the FPV camera, so that's all nice and tidy. All the cables are held together underneath the speed controller, so there's no motor wires going everywhere. In each arm, there's a channel, and in that channel you can run the motor wires. It's very clean. And also, I've come up with a way to make these little hooks on the side for the rubber bands that hold the battery to the bottom. That way the battery is very securely held and doesn't go anywhere. I've also thought about the way that stresses flow through the arms whenever you crash. And instead of adding 4 holes for each motor, which most people don't put 4 bolts in each motor anyways, I only did 2 on the outside, so if you do crash, there's no stress concentrations around the holes that are closer into the arm. I've also integrated my SFS system, that's the Solderless Frame Swap, that allows you to crash and break an arm or break the frame somehow and take all the electronics and just undo a couple screws and move all the electronics to a new frame without a soldering iron. That allows you to bring a couple frames out to the field, and if you crash really, really bad, it's no big deal. You just put all the electronics into a new frame and you keep going. The files for the frame and the NinjaFlex mounting components can both be found on myminifactory.com for a free download. Doesn't get any better than that. Now please put in the comments down below what you do and don't like about this frame. If you do print one and make it, let me know what you think. Is it too heavy? Is it not durable enough? Is there something you would change? And there's no better way to do that than to get input from other people. So let me know what y'all think, and I will see you next time.